Hello, girlfriend nation. I don't really know how to start these without Desi. Hi, welcome to the show. It's me and Beth holding down the fort again while Desi continues to recover. So she's been out for the playoffs, but hopefully we'll be back for the conference championship game. So just like a football player, that's what we're doing.
She is injury prone like the rest of the 49ers. Apparently it is in the water.
Yeah.
So she is taking one more week off. We're hoping to see her back next week. Desi, come back. We miss you. We're going to try and do our best to hold down the fort and to make you proud tonight.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's playoff football, so there's lots of fun things to talk about. It's just been a good week.
That's absolutely true. Hey, Technics Chick, glad you're here. Tell your friends. But yeah, so I mean, we might as well just get right into it, mightn't we, with the games this last week. And of course, two of the girlfriends have teams still in it. So before we get to the Bills game, let's talk about that 49ers game.
Yes. I hope that Desi felt well enough to watch the game. Yes, Technic Chicks, that has been a huge story in the news. She does not live near a power station. We'll touch on that in a minute. But the Niners, as always, found a way to win. It's been the name of the game. It's been the name of their season. They just, no matter what comes at them, they have been able to pull it out. So good for them. The worst case scenario, however, did happen for them this season. Kittle went out with an Achilles tear.
Achilles, yes.
But I do believe he asked for a bottle of tequila in the locker room and let the team know that he was going to still cheer them on and make sure that his team made it to victory. So.
Yeah, I love that story. I love that they're like, can we get you anything? He's like, a bottle of tequila. They literally went and got him one, and apparently it was empty by the end of the game.
I'm sure it was. If I was him, I would do the same thing.
Right.
Purdy had a great game. I mean, I believe, so I looked up a few things because I was in and out watching because I was on the road, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Purdy finished with like 260 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He did unfortunately have a couple of interceptions also in that game, which made it closer than it should have been at times. And Christian McCaffrey had 114 yards. Hopefully he is feeling good because he's going to be heavily relied on this upcoming week. What a great game. I know Desi was cheering and crying and probably screaming as much as the rest of us were, but
right. And seriously though, this weekend of games, almost all of them, actually until Monday night, really, almost all of them were insanely entertaining. Like, they were close games, they were fun games, they were active games. Nothing was a blowout. Everything came down to the wire.
Even the Carolina game, which everybody thought was just going to be them get walked all over. I mean, it ended up not being, at the end, it was what it was, but they hung in there, and it was a very entertaining game.
It really was. I mean, we were watching that with the neighbors, and there was a few minutes, there was a little while where we're like, is Carolina going to do this? Are they going to go to the next round? Like, it could seriously happen. And it was super close, like way closer than most people would have thought. So it was a good weekend of football.
Yeah, it absolutely was. The best part of this weekend of football is that I got to go to the Jacksonville game, guys. All the stars aligned. I reached out to my girlfriends first, to Laura and to Desi, and was like, hey, who wants to go? Kind of joking. It always kind of joking.
I did not.
It always starts out as, wouldn't this be a fun idea? I will tell you this. If a game is in with driving distance, don't count me out until kickoff. There's a good chance I'm going to find a way to do it last minute. And usually the more last minute, the more impulsive, the more likely it's going to happen. So it just ended up being like stars aligned. It was so much fun. I talked to one of my girlfriends that I work with, and I was like, hey, I know you like football. I know you're a college fan, but feel like you could be a Bills fan this weekend. Who's up for an adventure? One of the best things about having single friends is that they can just be like, sure, why not? She got the hotel on guys. She got the hotel on points. Last
Nice.
minute, a tailgate that we were trying to get to, one of the girls in the mafia fell ill, and she offered up her parking pass. We got a free parking pass. Bills Mafia, thank you so much. Free parking pass, hotel on points, tickets that we got from a friend, one of her friends that they were able to give us good seats at a cheap price. Like, I mean, everything fell into place. It was great.
Awesome.
So yeah, like my girlfriend showed up at the house, 9 a.m. We got in the car on Saturday, drove down, watched Saturday's games at a Bills bar, and then ended up going to the game on Sunday and driving home. It was phenomenal.
That is so awesome. I was so like you had mentioned it to us, and I was like, oh, it's just not in the cards. And then you did it, and I was like, oh man, I'm super jealous now. But you were sending us updates. You were sending us the baby Josh pictures. So if you follow us on social media, you would have seen our little slideshow that Beth sent the pictures for, which was super adorable. And yeah, and then of course the game itself. So how was the game itself?
So our seats were great. We were corner near the end zone, up in 240-ish, 245, I think was our section. Issue was that we were in a completely Jacksonville dominant section, which is okay. Like, I mean, the fans were great. We had a good time. Was not that big of a deal. The biggest issue is when you're watching football live, right? Like, you kind of feed off of the fans around you to kind of, if you miss something or things like that. So regardless of how well we were paying attention, there were still times where I wasn't quite sure what happened, right? So like the Gabe Davis injury, there wasn't a whole lot of chatter or concern, because it's Gabe Davis. They don't care about Gabe Davis, right?
Right.
That's not their player. Then we start getting to the fourth quarter where it's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, right? So I think there was like 3 or 4 lead changes in the fourth quarter alone. There was the tush push that went 10 yards because
right.
Like it was, and so it's like those are the plays that like you see it and you're like, oh, I can't believe wait, what? Oh, we're still going, but nobody else is cheering in your section because they're in shock.
Right.
I was in shock too. I was like, I don't really, how are we still going? So all of that happened. And then the final interception was kind of the same thing. There was a tip ball, and it was intercepted by the Bills. And it was one of those things where my girlfriend just looked at me and was like, what just happened? I was like, I think we won. I was like, hold on, I need a replay, but I think we won. So it was great. The fans were great. Watching the game live, there's nothing like it. I'll say it 100 times over. Being in that type of environment, it's just so different than watching it on TV. Mm-hmm. You get more info watching on TV for sure, and I feel like you get understanding of it better. Right. There's something about being there and just the energy of the crowd. It's fantastic. So it was wonderful. And good weather. Started out possibly rainy and cold and nasty and ended up clearing up, and it was great.
That is so. Yeah, I saw some of the pictures you sent before the game. It was cloudy, it was dark, and I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. But then we were watching the game and it was gorgeous. And so, yeah, you couldn't have had a nicer experience. Oh, That's just awesome. And yes, that 10-yard push was amazing. And also, Technics Check, I got to point this out. As someone from and back in California, funny that a whole other state is considered driving distance for a game. But it is in the Southeast. You can go to pretty much anywhere, within
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing though, like even in New York. So I grew up in New York, right? Buffalo and New York City. So where the Giants and the Patriots play is way harder to get to than Cleveland or a Cincinnati game. Like you can get to a Cleveland or a Pittsburgh or a Philly game way easier it is than to drive across the state to the other teams in our state. So
right. I mean, that's why when the Bills, like when their stadium they can't play in their stadium for whatever reason, like, weather and stuff, they go to Detroit. My friend who has season tickets for Detroit says that he's the most non-Detroit games he's ever been to have been Buffalo games because, they want to pack the stadium. They want to get people there. So they're like, come on down, Lions fans. So everybody's there cheering for the Bills.
And what a great opportunity and option to do that as well. But truly anywhere within like an 8 to 9 hour drive is worth my can get done.
Yeah, I would say it's a day drive. Like it's still going to be an overnight trip because football, because you've got to spend the whole game and then you're going to be tired and whatever. Or like what you did where you went the day before because you had to be there relatively early. So you couldn't have gone the same day. But I totally agree that if it's within driving distance and it can be like one overnight, I mean, you could do more if you want to, but one overnight.
Out doing overnights as well. I was going to do that trip without an overnight because I didn't want to pay for a hotel.
Yeah, but points.
I'm cheap. Right. I'm cheap. I don't have, unless people want to start doing to this podcast to have more Baby Josh videos, which I feel like would be a great plan. We'll make lots of Baby Josh videos if we could get a little money heading it in that direction. Because listen, like my girlfriend had points, which is great. Because I was like, hey, we could leave at like 4 a.m. And she's like, or we could go Saturday. I was like, I mean, that's an option too. But where's the fun in that?
Exactly. And, speaking of, we've never been a podcast that's, put it out there begging for money, but we do have avenues for that, right? If you are just a fan and you want to give us a tip, you don't have to subscribe to anything. You can go to our website, go to buymeacoffee.com. There's a link and just send us a tip if you like what we do. And if you or someone is a business that would want to do a relatively good deal on some sponsorships, we've got packages and you can see that information on our website too. So, we're not charging a lot because, we're still homegrown. We're still getting there, but we could use some help getting further. Do that. We would love it. But by the way, the Lions are playing the Bills in Buffalo next year. So just keep that in mind. That's more than a day's drive, but
it is. But Frontier flights are pretty cheap. And I have a bag that fits under my seat now.
So just putting that out there, just throwing that out to the girlfriends.
To the football gods. All right.
Yeah, we'll just see. But let us move on, because I'm sure we could talk about that forever. But as we said last week, we're going to do cocktails and mocktails a little earlier in the episode so that you can see an actual full drink instead of an empty cup. So let's get into that.
Yes!
All right. So what have you got for us this week?
We are in the divisional round, so we have the division bell. It is a little take off of the last word, which is actually a drink that we had discussed doing this week. I think we were talking about doing it possibly this week as well. But
that's right.
This name fit better, so I went with this one. So this is the division bell. It is mezcal, Aperol, maraschino liqueur, and lime juice. It's a little more tart than I had anticipated. It's good, but I think I don't have the grapefruit, so I'm wondering if I had maybe like ruby red grapefruit or something to spritz it
Oh,
and help bring it down a little bit. But
right.
it's very good. Again, a little bit more sour and tart than necessarily I would typically like. So I hate advertising a drink and then being like, but it's not my favorite.
I don't mind it. And you could tweak it too. You could probably play around with some of the ratios and, do a little less lime. Something like that. It might come out a little better. Mine is extra tart because I was telling Beth before the show, I only had key lime juice. So mine's probably more tart than yours.
Are key limes more tart or are they more sweet? I would think that key limes would be sweeter since they make
They are
key limes.
not randomly. They're just really tart. They're really tart. So, but I love a mezcal drink. Yeah. I love a mezcal drink. So I do like it. It's not necessarily my very favorite, but I think we could work on it. But then you came up with this pretty sweet mocktail based on this.
So I love me a good smoked black tea. We used a smoked simple syrup back last season for one of our cocktails. And it is probably, I'd never tried it before. I'd never done it. It was so good. So I actually have smoked black tea here to make simple syrup with it pretty regularly. Nice. But this just has plain smoked black tea, grapefruit juice, grenadine, and lime juice again, with a little bit of simple syrup. Cut that simple syrup as much as you want. If you want it more like a cocktail, drop that simple syrup or agave down to little to nothing. If you're doing it more for like kids or a fruitier drink, a sweeter drink, go ahead and add the whole piece. But again, the smoked black tea just really gives it makes it taste more adult, right? So if you are trying to cut back on alcohol and you're trying to but you still want to have that flavor, it's a great option to use in your cocktails.
Awesome. Yeah, and especially with the mezcal, with that smokiness, like that's what I like about this. So having that in the mocktail is pretty awesome. All right. Well, let's see. Where are we going from here? What do we got? Well, we mentioned Kittle's Achilles. And there were a couple other injuries that we're not going to necessarily go through details, but, playoffs are happening and these are important.
So I think probably the biggest deal that we've seen, we've got two teams here that are moving on that had major injuries this past week. We have the 49ers. They're moving along to play Seattle, who is pretty much one of the healthier teams in the league right now. And unfortunately, San Francisco has not been a healthy team all season. Right. They just lost Kittle. And however, good news is that Fred Warner has been hinting around that he may show up sometime soon. Not quite sure if it'll be this week or later on in the playoffs. But he sure is trying his hardest to show back up. It would be great to see if he came back up. Absolutely, Technics Chick. How cool would it be for him to come back from that and maybe even play, probably not this week, but maybe next week or for the Super Bowl. Like rehab is crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that idea for him. We will see what happens this upcoming week. I do not believe he'll be playing this weekend. I haven't heard anything more about it. But it may happen in the future. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. And the fact that he's practicing.
The Niners just have to keep winning in order to give him enough time to get back in.
They do.
Buffalo is in the same boat. We are just riddled with injuries, have no idea who's playing in any position. We lost 2 wide receivers in the playoff game in the wild card game this week. We lost Gabe Davis, which we just talked about, with an ACL. And then we also lost Tyrell Shavers, who's another wide receiver. He actually played like the whole second half with a torn ACL.
Ooh.
Like they didn't know he didn't know it was torn. He played 22 snaps on a torn ACL.
Oh my gosh.
So shout out to you for holding it together and holding it down and showing up. Now go rehab and get better.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is somehow still held together with duct tape and glue. During that game, he twisted his knee. His ankle or his foot is still maybe broken. They're saying it's not. I have a hard time believing it's not. Foot, knee, and then he like slammed his hand. Somebody cracked his right finger, his right hand into a helmet, and so he had like bloody, maybe broken finger. He says he's great. He's gonna be fine. Everything's fine. He's gonna be fine.
That's just who he is, though. That's just who he is.
I think he said in one of the interviews, he was like, I mean, pain makes me know that I'm still alive. There'll be a day that I won't feel pain anymore, and that'll be unfortunate. So, I mean, cheers to that, I guess.
Yeah, and I do want to bring up, this is not injury related, but I saw this going around the internet all weekend long about the fact that Haley Steinfeld was not going to be at this game. But hey, folks, guess what? She has a career that she's already been doing for a very long time. And it was the Golden Globes. Well, she was in one of the biggest movies last year, and she was presenting. So it kind of bothered me that the narrative was, Haley Steinfeld doesn't support her husband and is not at the game. I mean, you could have, Haley Steinfeld's husband does not support her career and is not at the Golden Globes. But the truth is they both have incredible careers. They both have had a lot of success. And when you're in that position, sometimes you've got a playoff game on the same night as the Golden Globes. And that's just how it works.
So it's funny because my husband even said that too. Like he was like, did you see all the flack that was happening? And then they were like, oh, is Josh Allen going to fly out and show up for the Golden Globes last minute? And I was like, what was so funny about it is if you watch any of the Bills media or the Buffalo Mafia or anything like that, Bills Mafia following all this, they were like, look at this king and queen. He's here winning playoff games and she's out there hosting the Golden Globes. Like there was no love lost from the city of Buffalo. Like all of us were like, damn straight, you lady, you do your stuff, let him do his end, and you guys just be the power couple that you are. So my husband, he's like, you didn't see all the trash talk? I was like, no, I saw none. There was no trash talk in the Bills world, in the Buffalo world. It was all love for Haley and for Josh. So there's not a whole lot that he can do wrong in our world.
I mean, yeah, I love it. I love it for them. I love, everything about
baby bump.
Right?
The dress and the baby bump. I wish we should have done Rate the Fit just with a few from the Golden Globes because good God, she looked gorgeous in that dress.
She did. Yeah, no, that was amazing. So, all right, we're rolling along because it's just the two of us and we're not going down too many rabbit holes. So let's see. Oh, well, the coaching moves, we're still not done with people quitting and leaving and et cetera, et cetera. And probably the biggest news after the Steelers lost is Mike Tomlin has stepped down. He's been coach for 18 years and he's leaving the Steelers.
Can I first stop us and say they've had 3 coaches since like 1960 something.
Right.
Three.
Right.
Hey, Cleveland. Take note.
Exactly.
45-3.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I mean, that was also, the Lions for so long. We went through coaches every other season because, we were terrible. But Mike Tomlin, not fired, just said, no, thanks. I'm done. Been a good run. Thank you very much. And he was just out.
Do you think he's done with coaching?
You mentioned that before the show and I hadn't thought of it, but I think it could be, right? Because I mentioned, and I heard this, and I don't know if it's actually true, so we'll find out. But I heard that because he wasn't fired, that with contracts and things still in place, if another team wanted him, it wouldn't just be an easy hire. Like they'd have to go through a process with the Steelers. So, he's not going to be able to go somewhere else easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where, I don't know, I wonder if it's run the course for him. He's going to be a great commentator. He's going to be a great whatever he decides to do, right? Hint, hint, Falcons need a head coach.
Right.
I do believe his daughter is doing gymnastics at UGA. So, I mean, closer to family, I wouldn't say no to that. I wouldn't say no to him coming to Atlanta. And Texans Chick, you are correct, but I also believe they've had a ton of coaches.
Yeah. They have not.
That is the quarterback. You're correct.
That is. But yes, they have not had only a handful of coaches since the 60s. Like, that's just not. So.
I don't think anybody has, right?
No. Most,
yeah. Any other franchise running with a coach. Maybe Baltimore. I'd be curious to know prior to their current /ex head coach. Who,
right.
It's the same idea, right?
Right. And yeah, I mean,
Miami was supposed to have their coach, and their coach, they lost their coach right after Black Friday. Or Black Monday. So he thought he was safe too. So.
Right. Yeah. And the Lions are interviewing for our offensive coordinators. So Mike McDaniels is on the short list. David Blau was on the short list, but he got hired by the Commanders because since he was already on their staff, they had first right of refusal. So they said, no, we're going to have you.
You've seen Mike McDaniel in the cold, right? Like you've seen him when he plays in Buffalo.
Yeah. I mean, the only benefit of the Lions is that we play in a dome.
That's true.
It's relatively. Oh yeah. Shanahan quit on the Browns for starting Johnny Manziel. Yep, that did happen.
God, the Browns. We should do a whole episode on the Browns. We're going to have to do it 1 week.
Yes, y'all are making me cough because it's funny. But it's very true.
Season. I'm going to throw this out there. Off season, we should pick some teams and do some deep dives into the crazy history of some of these teams, that being one of them.
Oh no, absolutely. I was curious, the list of Lions head coaches, because we've had so many. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I mean, we have a long history too, but you know what? It's interesting that Dan Campbell is only our 30th coach. Oh, because we had a really long time with Wayne Fonts. Glory days. And then it was coach after coach after coach after coach after coach. And then it was Dan Campbell. So, yeah, they've had an interesting run. So, all right. Fair schedule. This was brought up a few times, and I actually have a little. So, you've heard it, right, Beth, that Tony Dungy threw it out there, and I don't normally agree with Tony Dungy, but he's right, that the current playoff schedule is unfair to the teams in exchange for good TV ratings. So I wanted to get the words right here. So Tony Dungy says, NFL playoff scheduling is not fair. It might produce good ratings, but it's not fair. This late in the season, recovery time is crucial, and it is not given equally. Rams and Bears played Saturday games. They will face each other on Sunday with an extra day of rest. 49ers played on Sunday and will face Seattle on Saturday, so a short week of recovery. And in the AFC, the Bills will have to travel to Denver in a short week. And because there's a Monday night AFC wildcard game, the Texans play Pittsburgh. The winner will automatically have a short week and will travel to New England. Why? So that's fair. And then he went on to say, several years ago, the league did away with Monday night games in week 18 of the regular season because it created a disadvantage. If one of those teams made the playoff now, we create a disadvantage the wild card round. should be 3 games on Saturday and 3 games on Sunday, then try to schedule the divisional games so the teams have equal rest. Don't force San Francisco, Buffalo, Houston, or Pittsburgh to play the most important game of their season on a short week just for TV ratings. It's just not fair.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's got to be a better way to do it, right? It does not make sense to put teams on such a short schedule with such little recovery time. I'm not going to complain more than what I'm saying right now, but it's the same idea. You know, we're on a short week and we're traveling to Denver, which is Mile High Stadium. So we're going to deal with the altitude change on top of trying to manage injuries with them having another week off, right?
Right.
So it really does create this kind of shortened schedule. Why they can't put, and I don't really even understand how the ratings impact this or how TV impact. People are going to watch the game regardless, guys. Like, has the NFL not figured this out yet? Like, people aren't going to be like, oh, it's Sunday instead of Saturday, or it's a Monday night instead of Friday night. Like, they're going to plan their whole world around it. Like, if you're watching football, you're going to stop what you're doing to watch the game. Like, this is not, if they were concerned about ratings, they would move the fucking Super Bowl from a Sunday night.
Right, exactly.
What are we doing? It's not about ratings. Like, it's not, let's sit here and make a schedule that's at least fair.
Right.
Right. I get it. Your teams that have, your first seed teams, they get their bonus, they get their extra week off. That is their crown, their whipped cream on top of the ice cream sundae for doing what they've done all season. I'm not saying that they don't deserve that extra week. What I'm saying is that don't make these teams to show up on those short weeks, just like he said. Give them that extra couple of days. You know how much, even looking at the season now, those Sunday to Thursday games, you know, all of those weeks where they're short weeks, people are hurting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you just run it 1 week into a next. So I agree with him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, Technics Chick. People watch Sunday games, including multiple games with Sunday Ticket. So there's really no need to, you know, have a Monday night game. I mean, I get the historic significance of Monday night. We didn't need one during the playoffs. Like, we didn't need a wild card weekend Monday night game, especially since that was the worst game of all of them, to be fair. So it probably did get the lowest ratings out of all the games because people turned it off. I think if the NFL wants to, if they really care about ratings, the more important thing is to make sure that fans have reasonable access to the games, which we do not.
Well, you have to do. It's like even Saturday night game, like you had to watch on Prime or on Netflix or what, like you couldn't even watch it on regular TV. So what are we doing?
Right.
Like it cannot be a ratings or a viewership issue. So whatever they're doing, I don't know if it's because they went to a longer schedule, like made it 18 weeks to 17, you know, like they did all those other pieces. If now they feel like they have to cram it in together to make things work, I don't know, but it's not working. It's a bad idea. You're going to get more injuries.
Yes. I don't think the season needs to be longer. I don't think it needed to be 17 games. And it definitely doesn't need to be longer than that. And I know they're talking about maybe adding a couple more games. And I just don't think that's, but to be fair, part of the reason I watch football is because it's only, you know, when I started, it was 14 weeks and then it was 16 weeks and now it's 17 weeks. Like the reason I watch it is because like I don't watch baseball or hockey or whatever because they're like games every other night or sometimes 2 games a day. And I can't keep up with that. With football, I know when my game is. It's
block a day.
Yeah.
You know what's happening on that day.
Yes.
1 day a week.
Yes. And yes, regular access and better product due to fewer injuries, due to fewer short weeks equals better ratings. 100%. If we get a better experience watching football, you're going to get the money. You're going to get the ratings. You're going to get people tuning in. So yeah, stop putting it on every single, this is a different issue than the short schedule, but please stop putting football on every different possible streaming network. Like, I mean, you have to play games, like, to make sure that you have the right things at the right times to watch the things.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got Peacock partly for that, partly for something else, but it was so that we could watch it.
We watched it for that one game. We got 1 month. We got 1 month. I was like, it's cheaper than a beer at the bar, so let's do it.
Exactly.
And then cancel it after the game. Like,
right. And we do that too. We absolutely do that too. So I think all of those things are issues. All of those things make a difference for the players and the fans. And I would love the NFL to kind of get a clue in on that, like, to realize that, profits over players isn't necessarily the way to go. So.
And you're still going to get the profits. They're not losing.
Right. Right.
We love football. We love the NFL. We're not knocking it all, but help us all out.
Exactly. All right. Well, shall we get into the picks? There aren't many, but shall we get into the picks?
Yes.
Well, and since we have to do our picks because you and Desi tied for the regular season, so our playoff games is going to be the tiebreaker, hopefully. So here we go. Saturday, we've got the Bills and Broncos. No big surprise. Girlfriends are loyal to each other. We all picked the Bills.
It is, there are pros and cons to this game. I'm really hoping we pull it out. We have Josh, and do we need more? Coming off of a short week and all of the injuries, I'm concerned. But Ed Oliver also has been practicing, so he might be back, which would be a fantastic. You can't count us out. You can't count Josh out. The Broncos, I think, are favored because they have been rested and they also are relatively healthy.
Right.
But so is Jacksonville. So. Right.
So, yeah, no, Saturday's going to be a couple of good. I mean, they're the ones we care about the most, right? All the girlfriends games. So Saturday's going to be my big football day this weekend. I'll check in on the Sunday games, but I'm going to be sitting in front of the TV all day Saturday to watch the Bills and the 49ers. So for the 49ers, they play the Seahawks. And of course, we all picked the 49ers. Again, we're very loyal.
Ooh, yeah. So, Desi, it's because I love you. and the Niners have pulled crazier things out of their hat all season, right?
Yes.
But we don't talk much about the Seahawks on this podcast because we don't spend a lot of time on that side of the country. But Geno Smith and the Seahawks, they're healthy. They've been playing very well. There's a reason why they're so well seated. And aren't they like the loudest stadium in the NFL or something?
That's what I've heard that. I've heard that.
So they have the 12th man in their favor. So we'll see. I think the Bills are going to beat the Broncos, and I think the Niners are going to have a ridiculous game in Seattle. I think the Niners will win because of Desi.
Because we are, what is the word? Faithful.
We're faithful. That is going to be a stressful game for sure.
Yeah. All right. And then on Sunday, we're starting out with the Texans and Patriots. As much as I dislike the Patriots in general, you have to hand it to them. They've had a great season. But none of us have picked the Patriots for this game. We're all thinking the Texans will win.
I cannot fathom that Drake May is going to handle that defense. I just don't. Something crazy would have to happen. Texans are super healthy. Patriots are too. But the Texans defense is just so stupid. I cannot imagine that Drake May, first year, playoffs, all these things, they're too young. Are they going to have great runs in the future? Absolutely. Right now, the Texans have this.
I completely agree. When you look at the game this last weekend, To be fair, the Texans offense did not play great. They had interceptions and all kinds of things going on. And yet they still won. So they're a scrappy team and their defense is no joke.
But you know what I did notice during that game? And what, when Buffalo and the Texans win, it's nice to see the Texans' faults because CJ Stroud is not ready either.
Right.
So just forecasting a little bit, foreshadowing.
Maybe. For the conference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, based on our picks, we all think that's going to be the matchup next week. So, I think that's good insight for sure. All right, and then the Rams, Chicago. I put Chicago for some reason instead of the Bears. I don't know why, but we're just going to go Rams, Bears. And here's the only game we were split on. Beth, you picked the Bears, and Desi and I picked the Rams.
I did, and I'm torn because I love me some Stafford. Don't get me wrong. But it's in Chicago and they have just figured it out how to that's a game you have to watch to the very end because you have no idea what the Bears are going to do in that last quarter. So
absolutely.
So if you're short on time on Sunday, just tune into the end of the game. The last quarter for the Bears Rams is all you really need to watch.
Right. Yeah, this game is going to be interesting because obviously I don't want Chicago to advance, at all, and because I do not like Chicago. But you have to hand it to them. You have to hand it to Ben Johnson. You just have to. But the Rams, when the Rams were in the Super Bowl right after the Stafford Goff trade, and the Rams went to the Super Bowl that year, Detroit fans got behind that. There were even T-shirts like Detroit Rams, which is kind of cringy and stupid, but it was because we've never been to the Super Bowl. So we were excited that this guy who played incredibly for us, that within his first year on a better team could help take them all the way. And we were excited. And I would prefer if the Rams don't win a second Super Bowl before the Lions have a shot at it. But I do love Stafford. I don't know how much longer he's going to have in the league. He's just a great player. He's a dynamic player. He's fun to watch. He's just, So, I want the Rams to win this game. So, and then lose.
And I agree. I think Stafford's a great dude. I would love to see that happen as well. I just, you got to listen. Sometimes you got to throw caution to the wind here. So.
Well, that could make all the difference with our girlfriend standings this season. So since we picked all the same ones for the most part, so that could tip you over the edge. If Chicago wins, you might win our season.
Maybe.
Awesome. All right. So that is, I guess I can take that off I can take that off the screen for real. And as this is me, this is how I produce when Desi's not here because I talk to myself. But before we go, we want to share once again, just our little teaser for our big game bingo. We are working out all the details and the kinks with Desi sidelined. So we should have all of the details next week with plenty of time for you to know how to enter before the Super Bowl. But let me go ahead and play you our little teaser. All right. And I'll put that up on our social media too, so you know as much as we know going into next week. So
we're going to play bingo. We're going to win stuff. It's going to be fun.
Yes. We're going to have prizes. And I think we do know what the prizes are. So we'll let you all know. We'll let you in on that secret next week too. So we would love to have you play along with us and Technics Chick. We are excited that you want to join in. that's it. Look at us. We did this last week. We thought, oh, it's going to be short and sweet, and this week too. And here we are, 8:15.
We're making a full episode.
Full episode. So
we miss you, but we can make it happen when you're not here.
Yes, we want you to come back though, please. But yes, so for everyone watching, of course, follow Girlfriends in Football on social media, subscribe and like our YouTube, check out our website. We've got all kinds of details and interesting stuff on there. We do a blog every week, a recap of the show. That's the best way to find all of the info for listening on podcasts and watching later. So yeah, we'll see you all next week. I think.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. All right, let me find the closing of the show. Okay, bye everybody.